hope you're enjoying my dad's videos. Make sure to share this video with family and friends, like and subscribe, and turn on post notifications so you get notified for all my dad's new videos. My social media will be tagged down below so you can follow it. And just remember, Jesus loves you.
Hi guys, just to let you know, we've got a brand new website, drcharlieward.com, where all our videos will be loaded over the next few weeks, and you'll be able to view all of those there's no charge for watching any of those. We've moved them all onto our own platform because all the doctor ones, which are very, very important, have been taken down, so we've now got control over those, but every single video we post will be free to watch. That's very important for you to know. The other thing is we're getting an awful lot of people asking us about gold and silver. And I've always been an advocate of gold and silver. And myself, I'm not in a position to give financial advice. I'm not qualified to do so. I'm just going to tell you what I've personally done. I've personally bought gold and silver, and I've used a company that I trust, which is shown below here. They've always looked after me well. And if you order from them more than £250 worth, you get a free 1 ounce silver coin, which is very, very nice. It's a nice little gift. But this is not an endorsement. This is just what I have done personally, and it's up to you. It's your choice. As I said, I'm not qualified to give the advice on financial advice, but it's just what I have done personally. And I hope you enjoy it. And I hope you enjoy watching all of my videos. Thank you. Well, today we've got Adam and James again with us. Welcome, guys.
Hey, up,
good
Charlie.
to see you, Charlie. Good to see you. How's things going?
All good.
Yeah, it's amazing. What an amazing time to be alive. I mean, I'm just grateful for everything. And this is very important in our lives, to be grateful for what we do have rather than moan like a bitch about what we don't have.
Yeah.
We've got an awful lot, and your guys' help and guidance has been incredibly good and constructive. And it's, you keep it very, very simple, which makes it enjoyable for people to watch and understand what we're doing. And today we're going to be talking, well, I'll let you talk about what we're going to be talking about.
Yeah, sure. Look, it has to be simple for us. We're simple chaps. If it was complicated, we wouldn't stand a chance. So part of the simplicity is for ourselves. Yeah. When things are simple, people can take action. You know, complexity is the enemy of execution. So if it's simple, you can do something about it. So I guess all of these videos, we always want to be clear that we're not financial advisors. We're not accountants. We don't give advice. That's not the business that we're in. We're in the business of educating people and putting the power into your hands so that you don't need us. We're trying to do ourselves out of a job as quick as possible, so that you can actually see what's going on for yourselves and make your own decisions. So just to be clear, nothing to do with advice. We don't believe in advice. We think education's far better. And hopefully we'll educate you a little bit more today. So we're obviously passionate about precious metals, about gold and silver. And precious metals do they tick different boxes. And what we've talked about mainly so far is protecting the value of your savings, of your wealth, of your family's savings. And precious metals do that job really well. You know, we can see back through history how they've done that, how paper money's lost value. But there's another side of precious metals that we're going to talk about today. And that's control, protection, securing, and kind of ownership. All those four words kind of together. And it's not only making sure that your savings grow or don't lose value, but that they're in your control. It's a massive thing. This is not the most sexy thing. It's not like, yeah, let's make money and 10% a year and whatever. This is about living to fight another day and putting things in your control. So I'm just going to share my screen with you. There's a good slide here from Mr. Henry Ford. This just kind of sets the scene for all of this. And it just says, look, it's well enough that people of the nation do not understand our banking and monetary system. For if they did, I believe there will be a revolution before tomorrow morning. And the more you look into this stuff, the more that you look behind the curtain, you can start to see the real foundation of it and who benefits and who's in control. So put really simply then, when you hand over your money to a bank, at the same time, consciously or unconsciously, you hand over control. Simple as that. We could stop it here. We'll keep going. We'll go into more detail, but this is the reality. You hand over control to the banks. Your money, I say your money, is on their balance sheet. It's owned by them. They can do what they want with it, and they do. They leverage it, they loan it out to people, they take risks with it, and they only need to keep, in some cases, 10%, in some cases, 0% of cash in reserve. So if the bank were a storage facility, your money would go in, it would sit there, nothing would happen to it, and they would hand it back to you. But that's not the case. They only have to keep 10% of all the deposits, and they can do what they want with the rest. They can risk it, and they do. And this is why we have crashes and things like that. Not to go into this, but it's called fractional reserve banking. And it means that they only need to keep a fraction of the deposits. They do what they want with the rest. And governments and banks it's hand and glove. They're in bed together. Governments empower banks to do this. They allow them to do it. And it benefits them. It doesn't benefit everyday hardworking people. We're going to touch on this a little bit later, but James is going to talk about what happens when it all goes wrong. Because when it's all good, no one's bothered. No one ever comes to us and says, "Look, I'm worried about making too much money." Never happens. I'm excited for the day when it does. But people always say, "Look, what happens when it goes wrong? How do we protect the downside?" So who pays for it when it all goes wrong? Because this is where you see the true structure. Right, James?
Before I go into this bit then, I just want to just highlight that again, what Adam's really just said is, people talk to us about the growth of precious metals and blah, blah, blah. Oh, it's going to go up in value or it protects you from inflation and everything else. None of that matters to me personally or Adam. None of that matters. It does matter, but it doesn't matter. This is more important. Because if you don't own it, if you don't control it, what's the point of having it there? You can have all the money in the world. If you've got it within the banking system, it's not yours, it's not owned by you, and it can be taken from you. So it doesn't matter what you've got. So this is such an important point. So please, people, we're just here to make you financially aware and go away and do your own research on this. We say this, we must say this a million times a day, Adam, don't we?
Yep.
We're just sharing points with people, really just key points, and we encourage people to go away and find this out for themselves. Don't just believe us. We're just normal people, but we do our own research, and we work with we worked with 2 ex-bankers in the past, haven't we, Adam? And we share the information to people.
Just very quickly,
go away and find for themselves. Yeah.
One important point that you made earlier that I want to reiterate: the banks and the governments are hand in hand.
Oh yeah. Oh yes. Yeah. They're in bed with each other, aren't they? That's probably the best way to explain it, Charlie. That is spot on, mate. Yeah, totally. So, the first thing then, bail-ins. This is what most people are familiar with.
Bailouts.
Sorry, bailouts. We ain't carrying on bailouts even, getting myself all scrambled already. So a bailout, all right? That's what most people are familiar with. And basically what a bailout is, it's a rescue package. It's an injection of money into the banking system, into the bank or an institution from the government. And it saves them from bankruptcy. It saves them from going into, liquidating, basically. That is the simplicity of it. It's what happened in 2008. 500, it was announced in October, I think it was 2008, that 500 billion was to be paid out. This was announced by the UK government. 50 billion alone was to the banks. All right, so just think about these numbers. Think about the amount of zeros. All right, and one point we always say the government's money. This is the point I have to really get across. It drives me mad when people talk about the government's paying them out. The government's doing this. It's our money. It's our money. It's taxpayers' money. It's not the government's, it's our money, all right? Please tell me to calm down, Adam, if I get excited, because you know I get a bit wild.
Yeah. I think people just look at one step, but they don't go any deeper than that. So if you think, the government bail out the banks, okay, well, where do the government get their money from? And this is what we always try and do, is go beyond the surface,
follow the money,
ask that next question. The government get the money from us. So the government bailing the banks out is us bailing the banks out.
Yeah. Oh, it drives me mad. When I first found this out, I just wanted to go and tell the whole world, but the world at the time wouldn't listen. They wouldn't listen. But now people are more open to it because they can see what's going on. This is just
one extra point on that is that they can leverage our birth certificates on that as well.
Yes. And Charlie, when I watched one of your videos right at the start and you shared that with us, I looked into it myself and I found it for myself. Again, I did my own research, and it was spot on. It was spot on. It's sickening when you find out the truth.
Yeah.
But yeah, you can see why some people want to be ignorant to it and want to just go, because it is upsetting, some of it, when you really find out the truth that there's people out there that don't give two hoots about you and I, about the people, the normal hardworking people on the streets. These people in power do not give two hoots.
When you consider
to realise this,
when you consider people living in a council house who are struggling to feed themselves and struggling to keep warm, and then they find out they've been leveraged for £5 to £10 million. Them as a corporation, that's when they start to wake up and go, hang on, you're using me to make you money and I'm struggling.
The crazy thing I always think as well is the banks are almost in this, because they are, in bed with the government. It's on a total different level to any other business. So you imagine your business or my business, or we've got our own little shop or company or whatever. If we make mistakes and we risk too much and we do silly things, then we pay for it.
Yeah.
If the banks take too many risks, they don't pay for it. So there's no repercussions for their actions, and this is why it keeps happening, because they're not kept accountable. The government just say, oh well, we'll just give you some money and you can just do it again. Yeah. It's madness. Forgive us if we're getting like a bit down and not dark, but this isn't like a super inspiring message, but I think it's really important to know what's going on, so that you can be aware, because that's the first stage, isn't it? Being aware and then doing something about it. So if
you understand it, you can do something about it, can't you? If you understand how the system works, you can use it in your favour and not the bank's favour, not the system's favour. Well, this what you just mentioned there brings me into the TBTF. It's basically the too big to fail theory. I'll just read this out to you. And the too big to fail theory, right, asserts that certain corporations, particularly financial institutions, are so large and so interconnected for their failure would be disastrous to the greater economy or economic system, and that they therefore must be supported by governments when they face potential failure. So again, it just links into what Adam just said. All right, too big to fail. They know it. They know they're going to get bailed out. Again, they don't get bailed out by governments. They get bailed out by us. That's a simple message. That's what you need to know. All right, I'm trying to keep it simple again, because we go into it really deeply, but we have to always come out and just try and keep it flipping simple, as Adam said earlier. So that's bailouts, all right? That's bailouts. That's what most people are aware of. That happened in 2008, so most people are aware of that. And they're aware that it's taxpayers' money now. If they didn't know, they're aware of it now, because we've just mentioned it. All right, we're not just making this up. All right? We're not just making it up. Really are.
I wish we were. I wish we were making some of this stuff up, and I wish some of it wasn't true, but it is.
When I've spoken to people in the past personally about this and other things, I've said, look, guys, this isn't about my ego or me being right and you being wrong. It's got nothing to do with that. It really isn't. I wish I was wrong. This is one time in life. I wish I was wrong. I don't want to be right. You know, so it's not me trying to shine my own ass and say you're wrong, I'm right. It's got nothing to do with that. But anyway, I'm getting carried away again. So bail-ins. Let's talk about bail-ins now. We've got a message about bailouts. It's money out of our pocket, all right? So let's talk about bail-ins then. This is something. Well, what is a bail-in first? I'll explain that. A bail-in is where they can freeze your bank account and they can take your money. And this has actually happened, which we're going to show you in a moment. All right, they can freeze your bank account and they can take your money. It's an alternative to bailouts, really. It's more under the radar. I think it's more politically friendly, from what I've noticed, from what I've learned myself and researched. More politically friendly, and it's like I said, it's how they can take your money off you. They can freeze your accounts and take a percentage of your savings from you.
Just to clarify, a bailout is the government or us, and the bail-ins is where they get money from creditors and depositors. So people that are depositing money with that financial institution, they don't go to the government because that's not seen as, you know, it's not seen as a good thing on the face of it. They go to the creditors and depositors and they use their money. So they bail themselves out within their own institution, hence the name bail-in.
And just one other thing that I've come into touch with in the last few months, that when they freeze your account, which I've had happen,
yes, yeah,
and it was for political reasons, they don't have to give you a reason why.
Nope.
And when I contacted the ombudsman said, yes, we'll investigate and come back to you in 4 months.
Yeah.
Well, Adam, you've had some stories, haven't you, mate? You've because you're speaking to people every day, all day.
Yep.
We've had people asking us for help, and they've been telling you about what's been going on, haven't they?
Yeah.
Yeah, people's accounts have been frozen. We had a lady yesterday who just normal, hardworking people who were wanting to do something to protect themselves. And I think people know that this stuff can happen in theory, but they're not having daily experiences of it. So it's a little bit distant from them.
Yeah.
But yesterday, a lady who wanted to purchase some precious metals, you know, protecting her family, doing what we think is the right thing. And the bank put a lot of pressure on her to say, like, what are you doing? And I think it really bothered her. She said, I knew all of this stuff could go on, but I've experienced it for myself and I really don't like it. We've had another lady, I'm just picking a few stories here, but another lady, the bank were quite patronising, really. She's a more senior lady, I'm sure she won't mind me saying that. And they were just patronising, saying, you know, have you spoken to your family about this? And she's like, you know, I'm a businesswoman. I know what I'm doing. It's my money. Just, you know, bugger off. If it's my money and I can do what I want with it, then just step out of the way. So this does happen, and people are seeing it all the time.
Yeah.
It doesn't happen if you try and get gold out there, does it? If you've got gold under your own safekeeping, like I have with Loomis, Loomis never say to me, "Oh, you can't take that out,"
because they know it's yours.
They know it's mine.
They know it's yours.
Exactly.
It would only happen, Charlie. It would only happen if your gold was in the bank.
That's exactly right.
It would only happen because we've heard stories of that again, where people have been fighting to get their gold out of the bank. It's been months. And then down the line, they haven't got the gold back. They've been given cash instead.
Yeah. Well, I've got one particular client that's got gold in a Swiss bank. And we found out that they'd taken it off the custody sheets, put it onto the balance sheets, which is totally illegal. And then they'd sold it, which we've alluded to earlier. And they now can't afford to buy it back because the guy wants his gold back and they can't afford to get it back. And he stopped paying the storage fees on it. And they said, well, you can't get it back until you've paid the last 2 years storage fees. And he said, but you haven't been storing it. Because we have hard evidence that they've sold it. We know where it went. We've got the paper trail from an insider. And this is how corrupt they've become. but we're seeing this. We're seeing now people waking up to this, and their game will soon be over. So it's very important to protect what you have.
You brought up a very good point there, Charlie, about balance sheets. We talk about this all the time, Adam, don't we?
Yeah.
Balance sheets. Whose balance sheet is your money on when it's in the bank?
Yeah.
It's on the bank's.
Yeah.
That's why it's not ours. It's not. We go on about this over and over and over again.
Yeah.
On their balance sheet, not ours.
It is.
And they didn't need your permission to move it from the custody sheet onto the balance sheet because they're allowed to by the government.
Yep. They're reinforced and empowered by the government.
Yeah.
It's madness how all of this. It's a bit of a one-way system where you put the money in, and then they just do what they want with it. But it's almost in difficult times impossible to get it out. Which will show you some examples of this in a second.
We'll show you that now. So that's what bailing is. It's basically where it's still our money. It's keeping it really simple. It's still taking our money. All right, it's taken out of our pockets. It's taking it from our bank accounts. All right. Yeah. So in this next example, this just shows you what happens. This happened back in March 2013 in Cyprus. Any person that saved over 100,000 euros, had that over 100,000 in the bank, got 6% of their savings taken from them. This is an example. This happened. Again, we're not making this up. You can go out there and find this out for yourself. This could have been a couple that had saved all their lives. Hard work. This could, these were, I'm sure many of them were hardworking families that weren't just given that money. They'd saved all their lives. That could have been their pensions. That could be what they're relying on for their futures. Wiped out 60%.
Yep.
Right? Wiped out. It's on the bank's balance sheet, not theirs.
Right? And we bring it back to the key point of this whole thing is you're not in control. You're not. If you were, you'd be able to take all of your money. If they were just storing it for you, they'd give it you all back. But they're not storing it. They're doing what they want with it, and they don't have to give it you back. The government empowered and put the legislation in place that banks don't have to give it you all back.
Sure.
Honestly, it's mad. As I'm hearing myself say it now, it's absolute madness. But it's out there. Please do your own research.
Well, there's a precedent being set now, hasn't there?
Yes.
It's no doubt it's going to be used again. And if it's going to be used again at some point, but anyway, I won't go into that. But again, I'll try not to go down the rabbit hole too long. As long as people get that message, that's the main thing. Right, this has happened. It could happen again, and it's most likely to happen again. Greece. All right, next example is Greece. Back in 2015, this happened. It was in the papers actually, June 15, when this is a snapshot of all the people, a snapshot of a bunch of people queuing to go into the bank because they were only allowed no more than 60 euros per day. Right, per day. Their money was restricted. And if they missed a day because they're in these queues, if they missed a day, then they lost it. Right. They've got to think about feeding their family. They, again, as Adam said, they've got no control. No control. People were queuing for flipping. They were just stood up all day in queues to get their money.
I can see a lot of old people there that have worked all their lives. To save to look after themselves and their family. And that's just that's how shocking it really is.
It's really upsetting, Charlie, isn't it? I try not to get too emotional to my soft bugger, but it's really upsetting. And this is why we're very passionate about what we do, just to get this message across to people and try and kick them in the ass to go and do something about it. Right?
And this is Greece and Cyprus. We're not talking about developing countries or Greece and Cyprus. They're not.
It lasted that thinking a little bit. It lasted for 3 years.
Yes, that's the other thing that I think a lot of people don't realise that as well is the situation in Greece. 3 years that withdrawals were limited. They were initially 60 euros, and then it kind of went up. But 3 years that the banks and the government were controlling what people were taking out.
I think it was September 18 it finished. For 3 whole years.
One of the oldest countries in the world. Yeah, it's certainly one of the oldest regions in the world. All right, they're famous for not really paying taxes, but maybe they were ahead of the game.
Yes.
Sure.
Yeah. 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 It gets so wild. Gets so slippery wild, I'll tell you. But anyway, woo.
Yes.
We've stood up and said this so many times when I was seminars, all over the country. Even in Holland, we did a few seminars telling people about what goes on in the world and trying to wake people up. And we've said it time and time again, but it's great now because a lot more people are listening, Charlie. So
Good.
like to people like yourself, helping us out to help you to help us.
We're not, as you rightly say, none of us are advisors. We're just people out there trying to educate people on what we've learned and what those around us have learned. And the one thing that I've learned is that investing in gold 10 years ago has given me a 10% increase as an average over 10 years. And that 10 times 10, for those who didn't go to school, is 100%. Then it gets compound, it's even more. But let's just take it simple. 10 by 10, it's 100% growth in 10 years. And you would not have got that anywhere near that in a bank, even if you were investing in the highest risk ever. I mean, the one thing with gold and silver and precious metals is, as long as you have control of them, it's the safest thing you'll ever have.
Well, that's what it is. I just look at precious metals and I just think, when I look at some metals, I just think safety, security. That's what it is. And it's great for normal, average, everyday, hardworking families that don't understand the financial markets. It's great for them. If people come to me, and for most people that we deal with, it's the best thing they can do. Because they don't want all that risk. They don't want to be scared of all that risk in the financial markets, blah, blah, blah. Well, just swap paper currency for real money, for gold, silver. It's as simple as that, But a lot of people do come to us and go, yes, but we're insured. So we're going to talk about the FSCS now.
So this is
compensation scheme.
I guess in different parts of the world, the umbrella term is probably government deposit protection schemes, where the government insure, let's say, the government insure. In different countries, it's called different things, and it's for different amounts. We've honed in on the one in the UK because we know the most about that. But look into all of these. With everything, the devil's in the detail, for sure.
Can I just ask a very simple question? A government deposit protection scheme. If the government, the United Kingdom government, as according to Companies House, has been declared bankrupt, what's the value of their policy?
Bugger all.
Yeah, good question.
I'm just asking the question.
Which we know has happened, haven't we?
We know that if you look in Companies House, you'll see the United Kingdom Government Corporation was declared bankrupt in 2018. And because somebody said to me this morning, "Oh, it's government backed." I've gone, "What happens if the government's bankrupt?" He said, "Well, exactly." They often throw out there it's government backed, but the government of the United Kingdom, the United States, the corporation of the European Union and the Commonwealth have all been declared bankrupt. So I'm just guessing that these protection schemes are bankrupt as well.
It's a very good point, Gary.
Let's look into who actually pays for them.
Okay. Which we're going to come back to anyway,
I've got a big spoon this morning, haven't I?
You're way ahead of us.
Again, it just comes straight back to us again, doesn't it? But even if these were in play, even if they were there and they're still in play and they're going to work, if they're there to protect us and what have you, people were only protected up to £85,000, weren't they? So if you had over that, then you're not protected. So, and people, there's certain points that most people I speak to anyway, didn't realise. That a bank that where your money is has to be authorised by the PRA, the Prudential, what they called again, Prudential
Regulation Authority.
Regulation Authority. They have to be authorised by them, and they don't realise that if you've got a joint account, it's double that. It's £170,000. And also a very, really, really big point a really big point, which
I bet
nobody
most
seems
people
to be
won't
aware
know
of.
this.
Yeah, but most people don't seem to be aware of. It's the banking license. I know people that have got over £85,000, and what they've done is they've put their money in different bank accounts. They've split it up, which is fair enough.
Makes
But
sense.
yeah, it makes sense, but they didn't realise about the banking license. If all three of them banks come under the same banking license, that's classed as the same bank. They're only covered for 85,000. They need to. It's called the Financial Services Register. They can look it up. Go on Google and look it up.
Yeah,
and find
you can
out
literally go on and find out which banks share the same banking license.
Yeah.
So, again, if you are using that for protection, make sure you are fully protected, and that it's not that you're not kind of all under one umbrella, which means actually only one lot counts.
I mean,
again, the devil's in the detail.
Yeah. I mean, if after watching this and you still think it's safer in the bank than in precious metals, then you need to think about what we just said there. All right.
Yeah.
One other thing you just poked me just now, which is just a little bit of humour in here. Also, just remember that there's only one Monopolies Commission.
Exactly.
Just for a bit of humour.
Some really good points come on there, isn't there?
With this, I always bring it back to you know if what we said at the beginning about banks lending out money and not having to keep all of your money on deposit, if you didn't think that was true, then why are these deposit protection schemes in place? Yeah. Why does the government have to insure deposits? If they're just sat there in the bank in this big vault that we sometimes have in our minds, why are these in place? Yeah. They wouldn't need to be, because the money would just be sat there.
Sure.
They have to do this because the money is used. It's used to loan out, to leverage, and to make the bank money.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, well, just a few numbers for you there. Between 2001 and 2006, 1 billion was paid out from this compensation scheme. Between 2006 2011, due to the financial crisis, there was 26 billion paid out. But their pot wasn't big enough, so guess where the money came from again? You had to get a loan.
Yeah.
Again, we're not just making this up. We're not talking shit. We've done our own research. We've been around. We've been sharing this information with people for many, many years. Go and do your own research. Go and do your own research. Go and do your own research. All right, please. All right, we're not advising you. Go and have a look at it yourselves. It all comes back to what we're going to go on to next again, just to really simplify it is.
Who pays when it all goes wrong?
Yeah, who pays?
Follow the money. So bail-ins, bailouts, and financial compensation deposit protection schemes. You pay for it.
Yeah. And just keep it simple again, people, just to really narrow it down again. Bailout is when taxpayers' money, our money, not the government pays for it, pays to bail the banks out. Bail-ins is when they use our money again, our savings, our hard-earned savings, to bail the banks out again. They take our money off us, they steal our money off us to help the banks again. All right. And if you are covered in any shape or form, compensation scheme, when does the money come again from that to actually fund that? Yeah. All right. Hopefully that's kept it simple.
Just to say as well, look, when the government borrow money from the Bank of England, everyone will know when you borrow money, you don't just pay the same amount back, you pay the same plus interest. So all of this is not only costing us for their mistakes one-to-one, 100 billion, right, we'll borrow 100 billion, we'll pay it back. It's the 100 billion plus the interest. So they risk it, they get covered, we pay for it, and we pay for the interest on every one of these levels. It is madness. It really is. When you think about it. Yeah. Well, look,
it's like a really, really, really bad relationship. Somebody's treating you really badly, and they keep treating you badly, but you keep going back for more. You just keep going back for more. You don't know any better. That's what it is. You say just accept it. You just accept it. That's what it is.
Yeah. And we always say,
look, to accept it.
A picture paints a thousand words, or whatever the saying is. But the system is not fit for purpose. And this really depicts how it works.
We love this
Governments
picture,
are
don't we?
fueling the banking system. They are allowing it to happen. And we're left to pick up the bill, to pick up the tab. There's so many ex-bankers that then go and work as government advisors.
Yep.
And they're all so interlinked. As government advisors, they help their own.
Yeah.
They're through 2008, I think there was 2 people that went to prison for the whole global financial crash. Bonuses were paid out on record levels, and the government allow all these bonuses. They could stop it, of course they could, but there's so many special interest groups and all these that are backing the government. I think in the US there's a really good documentary actually called Inside Job, narrated by Matt Damon, about the 2008 crash. I know we've heard a lot about it, but it really shows the fragility of the system, and also how banks and the government are just so connected. I think they said for every senator, there's 5 lobbyists from banks per senator.
Yeah.
So they're just hounded. They can't look left or right without someone from the bank or the bank's interest kind of being there pushing the agenda.
One thing that you can work out for yourself is the governments and the banking people in control are less in number than the people. We outnumber them.
Yes.
It's time for us to stand up against the governments and the banks, and because we're in the majority. They're in the minority, but they've assumed control.
Yes.
And it is always by consent, and we've consented without even knowing it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And it's time to stand up and say we don't consent. You know, you're keeping us enslaved in your corrupt banking system, and you're robbing us. You're robbing the people. The people have been enslaved for way too long. Yeah. I'm working on the new financial system, the quantum financial system, which will break away from this. But I think the most important thing is this is to wake people up and to give people, whether in the new system, which will be gold backed, which is what these guys are on, it's still brilliant to have your own gold and your own silver, because what it does is empowers you as a person.
Yeah, exactly. That's what it's all about.
Yeah, it does. And there's nothing better than being in control of yourself. It gives you such a great feeling to be in control of yourself rather than just being a puppet.
Yeah,
sure.
Yeah.
I think
people these days are so used to relying on the government or relying on some other entity, relying on somebody else to look after you.
Yeah.
I think what you've just said, Charlie, plays really well into this picture on screen, is that people are looking for food from the banking system, from the government, whereas with precious metals, you're bringing your own food to the table that you're in control of. You're not waiting for someone else to serve you. And look, that's what we're saying.
Yeah.
We think gold and silver, this shiny stuff right here, shiny metals, are the solution. This is what we think is the solution, where you can control it. It protects and secures your savings, your family's savings, stuff that you work flipping hard for, you trade your time and your life for, and you can own it. So let's just do a comparison to break it right down. Here's why we think gold and silver are a better solution than money in the bank. Who owns money in the bank? The bank. Is it leveraged and risked? Heck yeah, it's leveraged and risked. In a massive way. Is it fully insured? No. And do you end up paying for it in the end? Yes. On whose balance sheet is it? It's on the banks, and it's controlled by the banks. Gold and silver, when purchased the right way, you own it. It is not leveraged. It just sits there. I always say gold and silver, it's the most boring investment you'll ever make. It sits in a cold, dark room and does nothing. It doesn't move. There's no moving parts. But it's secure. It's stable. It can be fully insured, again, done the right way. It's on your personal balance sheet. Yeah. Not on anyone else. It's your personal balance sheet. and it is controlled by you. So I hope we've really got the message across today. Again, this is not the let's make more money. This is about protecting and securing what you've worked so flipping hard for, and making sure that should the worst happen, that you've got that security, that insurance policy, that financial insurance policy for you and your family. And if anyone wants any help with any of this, obviously, please get in contact with us, and we're more than happy to help, just to have a chat with you. For some people, buying gold and silver right now, or in certain ways, we've kind of said, look, do it this way, or tweak it, or actually come back to us when this has happened for their individual situation. We've been able to help a lot of people, and just get in contact. It's not one size fits all, but let us help navigate that path with you, and we'll hold your hand through the process.
Brilliant.
Just one more point on that. Just to reiterate it to everyone, really simply again, that the system that we have in place at the minute, they have control over it. They control the money. They control the system. They've set up all the rules, and it works very well for them. For them, it doesn't work for us. This is why it's getting kicked into touch. This is why we believe it's getting kicked into touch. All right. So that's the way it's always has been, and we've been trying to wake people up about this for many, many years, and we've showed them all the different ways of using the system in their favour, in that family's favour, against the banks rather than for the banks. All right. Such things as the rule of 72 and things like that, and debt stacking. There's loads of little techniques we've been sharing with people for many years now. But like we said, Charlie, we believe this new system is coming and it's happening. And you've said as much, haven't you? So
I can assure you it's happening.
Yeah.
This is to educate every single person. We're not advisors. We're just educators. We're here to educate you on what's right. One very interesting point as we transition from where we're coming from to where we're going to, we're coming out of a corporation, the UK government corporation, where we were corporations. We were enslaved. And the most important thing that we're transitioning into now is our own sovereign being, so that you are in control of you.
Yeah.
We just educate you how to control you.
What a novel thing, eh? That we're getting control of ourselves back.
We're getting control of ourselves, which we've never had. We've always been their corporation, their bitch. And they've for those poor people out there that are on their backsides financially, when they find out that they've been leveraged to the tune of £5 to 10 million pounds, dollars, euros, while you've been battling to survive, and the government has been using you as a corporation to make money for them and wasting you, then you'll be very grateful for the work that we've put into to educate you into what's going on.
Yeah. No, well said, mate. Very well said.
Thank you very much, guys. And we're always there to help and guide you if we can. And we'll bring you back up to speed again in 2 weeks' time. We do this every 2 weeks to keep you in touch with what you should be looking for in yourself.
Yes.
That's all.
Perfect.
Cheers, guys.
Thanks so much, Charlie. Pleasure. Speak soon.
You take care, buddy.